Sisters Mollie and Rosie Kmita are redefining leadership in sport and are on a mission to empower women and girls on and off the pitch. As former professional footballers and founders of the Powerhouse Project, they've gone from Forbes 30 Under 30 to collaborations with Nike and Google, creating real pathways for the next generation of female leaders in coaching, broadcasting and beyond.
Sometimes when you haven't been through things that wake you up, you can stay in it so long that you actually start to think, is this my life?
We will work hard to make anything work and happen. But at the same time, there comes a point where you're like, right, okay, I've actually not got the energy I once had. We have not sat still for 16 years.
Knackered. Absolutely knackered.
No. Why?
Rosie, Mollie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited for this episode. Coming across your story and already just filled with so much courage. I don't know how we're going to do it in an hour, but we'll cover as much as we possibly can and get you back in, I think, for a part 2. But to go like 19 years old, setting up a girls' football club, to now running the Powerhouse, empowering the next generation of women, it's just phenomenal what you've achieved. So far, thank you for what you're doing. But I also know recently you had the courage to come and share your story. So people wonder, because you launched a podcast, so people could get to know you both a bit more. And I'd love if it's okay with you, just to take us back to that beginning of what has really shaped you into who you are today.
Wow, it's quite a broad question, but I think that essentially we have been shaped by sport. I would say that's where it started for us. We are ex-footballers that, we're just genuinely obsessed with football growing up, but in a landscape where football isn't what you see now for women's football. So in a really male-dominated space where we were quite, how would you put it? We were definitely the minority in, where we were, what we were doing. And I think we have lived with that our whole lives of going, wow, how amazing would it be if we could build something within our lifetime that was exactly what we needed when we were little.
Wow.
And I look at what we've managed to build now with the Powerhouse Project, and I know that we'll get into all of that, but I look at what we've built now, and that infrastructure that exists is something that I know as 2 young girls, playing on the streets in Enfield in North London, would have loved. Because, when you come from an area where the opportunity isn't there, unfortunately, you've got to create something that means that you go and find those minority groups so that they have the opportunity that maybe people that are in more privileged positions, are already exposed to. So I would say football shaped us, sport has made us, and now the infrastructure we built is just something that I wish we had.
100%. I think I'd elaborate on that and also say that it's not until recently, and probably, to be honest with you, since we've done our own podcast and as you mentioned earlier, Joe spoke about our stories, where I've realised our why is a lot deeper than what Mollie's just mentioned as well. Okay. Like, yes, the why comes from being the minority on the football pitch, but actually I think our why stems from the loss of our dad at 16 and understanding that without Mollie's support, what would I have done in that moment? I don't know. Still to this day, I don't know what I would have done without the support of Mollie mainly, but then also my amazing family that we have. And you think of that moment where our lives change drastically overnight when we lose our dad. And you think, what does a young girl do if she hasn't got a Mollie in her life? A support system, a great family. What is that young girl doing in that moment? Because I think that in that moment in time, you either crumble or you rebuild. And that took us years to rebuild and kind of get over that trauma, which I'm sure we'll go into in more depth. But I think for us, the why is for young girls out there who experience feeling alone or feeling like they don't know what their next move is, and us wanting to be there for them. That's kind of what we're going after.
Thank you for sharing that. And the thing that's coming up for me is for these young girls to feel they belong. Because I'm guessing from you, like I remember a story you shared. There was something about skins and shirts, and it's just like you're just part of the team, and it was just normal. But when was that? Did you feel like you belonged on the football pitch? Did you have that environment where you were welcomed and it was like normal for you to be on football? Did you realise quite early that no, it is this not many girls are here. Why us?
I think we're lucky enough to grow up in a family culture where anything was possible, if I'm completely honest. I don't think we saw it from when we were in our childhood. And that shirts versus skin story is so, funny to us now, because essentially, for anyone listening that doesn't know, there's a concept in football where you play out on the streets and you've either got T-shirts on or T-shirts off, essentially. And what me and Rosie didn't realise is actually, as two young girls, T-shirts off when you're, 10 years old running around, we felt like that's just normal. Well,
Didn't realise.
I'm on skins. So, that's how it goes. And it wasn't until our mum sort of found us running around the streets with our socks off and she said, I've got to have a conversation with these girls. But I think that's, that story for me really sort of summarises how much we didn't feel that we were different at that time. We were, two young girls surrounded by boys, but we didn't see it like that. All we saw is that we loved football and actually we were good at it. So the boys almost didn't see that either. It was like, okay, you can bring something here. You almost gain your respect because you're good. And then it weren't until we started to get older where you then realise, wow, we can't have a football team because there's no other girls that want to play. Or you sort of get to a stage where you go, hang on, there's all of these academies and we didn't know about that. So we're almost like catching up to this ecosystem and infrastructure in women's football that was out there, but it was so secluded and so not what it is today that opportunity almost feels like it's taken away from you because you're not aware that it's even out there in the first place. So I think for us, it was, it's so interesting because I look back at that now and I don't think we ever felt different. But I did feel like we missed out on some opportunity because of the lack of coverage, awareness, and infrastructure that we're grateful now exists.
And then I suppose you started to see the limitations, and it's like, hang on a minute, why the limitations aren't there for the boys, but they are for us.
Right.
What's really interesting listening, you sharing about your dad and your family dynamic, the beauty, what I hear, and talking to you last time, was the support you both had. And you said just, you go play football, go and do anything's possible, just believing that things would be okay. But I also know in your family dynamic, it wasn't always easy and it was tough. Are you happy to share some of those experiences that have built your resilience and also built that connection you two have of, in a way, needing each other to survive what you saw and witnessed at children?
Yeah, so in terms of stuff that sort of, I guess, happened in the early stages, as I mentioned earlier, we come from, a place in Enfield, a place in North London called Enfield, where essentially we didn't grow up with much. That's probably the easiest way to say it. We didn't grow up with much, and in a family of 5 where there's not much, you sort of all have to just rally around each other. And I think we felt that connection and the importance of support networks very early on in our childhoods. And then, I would say in the beginning, we actually grew up with quite a stable, lovely life. And, Rosie alluded to it earlier, losing our dad through alcoholism at a young age was a horrible thing to witness when you see this man that has actually been a brilliant dad sort of start to decline in his own mental health. And at the time, you're so young, you don't really realise what's happening. But actually seeing this person go from someone that was stable, loving, supportive, to turn into an alcoholic that, was very distant from our family at times, abusive to our mum, difficult to be around a lot of the time. It is such a interesting and difficult dynamic to get your head around when it happens. It feels like it happens almost overnight. So I think the trauma of all of that growing up and witnessing sort of his death through alcoholism, I think has changed us for life, because you look back at that and you're so young that you almost want to shake him and go, what are you doing? You've got 5 kids, you've got a beautiful partner in our mum, you've got, we've got it all, sort of thing. And you want to shake him and go, Dad, stop. But all you see is this person really struggling. It's not until you get older where you go, okay, he had an addiction. Okay, we had to be patient. Okay, he was suffering with his own traumas. And, I look at maybe how that's played a part in who we are today, especially together as twins going through that. There is no one that understands it like Rosie understands it, and vice versa for both of us. So I think it shows up in different ways, but I would say the connection we have is so much deeper than even with our other brothers and sisters, and they know that. We can say that because you're the same people going through the same thing at the exact same time in your life.
Yeah.
Right? And it was difficult, but I think that the resilience side of things and how that's allowed us to carry on. There are things that happen that I don't know how we got through that. You know, just witnessing what you witnessed, seeing your mum, you know, being attacked, losing your family home because no one can afford to pay for it anymore. Like all of these things that happen, you're like, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
But then you get through it. And I think this is why I feel grateful today to sit on this sofa and go, bloody hell, we've done all right, you know, like we've actually done all right. And I can actually speak about it maybe with way less emotion now. But I would say that's because we have had to go there a number of times since launching our own podcast where we actually spoke about it for the first time ever in 31 years. We had never spoken about anything that had ever happened until that day.
It was very powerful to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well done for getting through that, by the way. I still struggle, and I think, you know, so I'm glad. Thanks very much for picking that up. But I think off the back of that, I can talk about the positive side now, which is great. Get Mollie to do all the hard work.
I'll do the hard bit.
But yeah, I think, you know, me and Mole recently had this conversation actually on a walk, and we were talking about when you've had things like that happen to you, like Mollie highlighted, seeing your mum getting beaten up, losing your house at a crucial age of, I think we were like 14. So, you know, you've got your mates know what's going on. You know, you're young enough to understand what's happening here, but you have no control over the situation, right? I think that was the hardest thing. We couldn't change our circumstances. It was kind of the cards we were dealt. Now I think about life now, and I think it takes the pressure off us in a roundabout way.
Okay.
Because I wake up every day and I think, if, for example, I lose a brand deal, that's okay. That brand deal weren't meant for me, because it will never get worse than what it felt like when we were 14 and we were driving away from our house and we knew we couldn't go back there. It will never feel worse than losing our dad at a young age. And I think when you start thinking about things like that in life and you zoom out a little bit, because you can get bogged down by you can get bogged down, especially in this society, especially in the world we live in, with the amount of followers you have, with what you're out there doing, the perception you're giving to the world. It's like you're led to believe you have to compete all the time. And don't get me wrong, I think the athletes in us do have that. Of course, you're never going to knock that. That is human. And, you know, we were created by football and grew up in that environment of having to compete. I love that about us. But at the same time, I think we've come to a point in our lives where we've got a little bit older and we thought, right, okay, yes, we're competitive. Yes, we want to do well. But at the same time, let's keep things in perspective. Not everything's going to go well. And when things don't go well, it's not the end of the world, because that's never going to be worse than what we've experienced before. And when I go into things now, every conversation, and I wake up every day with that mindset, it makes me feel so much better about life, because it takes the pressure off our everyday movements, really.
It's quite grounding, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of, it's like an anchor. You go, actually, I can... I've got that evidence back. I've got my evidence has told me that I can deal with that. And the way I can relate is I lost my dad suddenly when I was 18. Like, we went to the theatre the night before. We actually had no idea he was sick or anything was wrong. So it was such a shock. And it happened in front of me. It was all quite traumatic. But it's so interesting what you take from that. As you said, it's like, I've never been from that materialistic. Things, clothes and things don't mean much to me. And I know some of my family, especially my husband at times, go like, why doesn't that bother you? Or why didn't you get angry about that? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've seen how short life can be. I see how quickly change can happen in your life and you can lose everything. So as you say, like, this stuff, like, I'll break a mug and I'm like, get another mug. But someone's like, oh my God. And it's like, and I just think, as you said, that perspective of, and what I so really wanted to meet you both, because your resilience and your grit and your drive, I've always had people say to me, like, where do you get your drive and your grit from? And I do put it back to that again. seeing how life is so precious and how quickly it can go, to want to, the time you have, do something with it.
100%.
Does that resonate?
Oh my God, massively. And, you know, it's like, and I'm so sorry, by the way, I didn't know that you've been through that. And I think things relate and hit you in different ways when you've been through similar experiences. But I never thought I'd get to a point where I'd say I'm grateful that all of that stuff happened. I never ever thought that I'd think, oh, you know, I'm actually glad that's happened. And do you know what? I am. I'm so glad, because now I feel like you can't touch me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it is that, it's that resilience, that grit and that drive to go, okay, life's short. I don't want to wake up every day and hate what I do. I don't want to wake up every day and dread, you know, going to that job and being around those people. I don't want that. And I think, you know, it's easy maybe to say this now in the position that I feel, but it has taken us a long time to genuinely wake up in the morning. I would say in the last couple of months, seriously, that's how recent it is. I would say in the last couple of months, because of the conscious decisions we've made to live like that, to go, life's short. Is this feeling right? No. Make a decision, move on. Is it like, is there something kicking you now about this dynamic? Is this working for you? No. Okay, make a decision, move on. Whereas I think sometimes when you haven't been through things that wake you up, you can stay in it so long that you actually start to think, is this my life? And then you start to blame.
You get angry.
Then you get angry. Then you blame. And, you know, don't get me wrong, we, you know, are still working through those emotions, and we're not perfect, and we're definitely still getting there. But I would say that what we've all been through, and what many people listening to this have probably been through similar experiences, it wakes you up. And that's how I feel. I feel woken up to the fact that this doesn't last long. So make it worth it.
Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, to please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a small action that makes a big difference. You'll be the first to know when new episodes drop, and your support helps us create meaningful content for leaders like you. I'd also love to hear from you, so if you have any thoughts, questions or ideas, pop them into the comments. And if you're curious about how my leadership coaching or training could support you or your team, just drop me a DM and we'll set up a call. Thanks so much. Now let's get back to the episode. And I think, is it fair to say, I think I heard you, I think it's in the episode you both did, is when it happens though, because anyone listening to this, there is that period where you run away.
Oh yeah.
You want to escape, and you've got to go through your own grief in that time. So it's not like you suddenly go, right, I'm going to solve the world, life's short, I'm sorted. It's like just to allow people, it takes, as you said, it takes time. And even like when I was in the corporate space for 20 years, I still did people pleasing, tried to avoid conflict, accommodated things, ran around, am I worthy enough? Because I lost my dad, so I didn't get a degree or A-levels because it was right at quite a crucial time. So, you know, am I enough? Am I smart enough? So you can still have all those normal human things, but I think there's a fire in you that just knows that you're going to be all right. If you've gone through that and you've survived, you're gonna be okay.
100%. And you're right. I think we've skipped the journey here, right? Like we're sitting here talking about how we feel in control now when we're not comparing and we're not competing. But bloody hell, I mean, we've spent 10 years plus of our lives doing that, by the way, trying to control things because we never had control when we were younger. So we felt the need to, the minute we had the opportunity to control, it's like, right, okay, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to make sure this is successful and no one's going to knock us down and all of that stuff. And then you get knocked. And then you try and go through it again, and then it happens again. Like, you know, we'll go into it, but before Powerhouse, we had another organisation that we ran, and that didn't go to plan and didn't go well. Before that, we had another organisation that we ran that didn't go well. So it's throughout all of these experiences, you finally sit here now with a little bit of calm around it. But, I mean, we've lived 15 years of our lives with pure chaos of internal conflicts, demons, like we've spoke about earlier, Joe, of these voices in your heads, even whilst you're speaking at times, saying, you're not good enough, no one's listening to you, no one cares, you're boring, all of these things. And I think it's only taken us now to really get to a moment where it's like, why are you making your own life harder for you? This is a question I keep having to ask myself now.
It's a good question.
Yeah. I'm the only person being hard on myself. No, I don't know the answer yet. But I wouldn't speak to my friends or Molly the way I speak to myself. I wouldn't. So how crazy is that concept that I am the only one making this situation or this job or this environment harder for myself? Why are you doing that?
I think that comes from, though, like actually having it's self-belief, right, and confidence, which we both have struggled with our whole lives. And the problem is everyone looks at us and goes, you're so confident, girl. It's just you've got so much self-belief. Look what you... And I'm going, we are the opposite. But you give an external perception. Yeah. And I think it's a bit of a defense mechanism. I think it's a bit of a persona, if I'm honest, you know. People say all the time, you know what? No, this is what happened. I went to therapy recently and she said to me, Molly, who are you when no one else is around? Like, who are you?
Nice.
And I'm like, what? Like, no one actually knows the answer to that question, surely. Like, bro, she's like, can you be alone? Like, are you actually good at being alone? And I'm like, no, like, I actually hate being alone. And then you sort of start to really like delve into like how we've lived our lives. And it has been full of people pleasing, surrounding yourself just with noise, if I'm honest, because having to make your own decisions and being alone feels so uncomfortable. And
busy. So we don't have to think.
Yeah.
Busy in ourselves. We don't have to think about the repossession, dad's death, money worries. We've woke up since the day our dad died and kept ourselves busy.
Yeah.
Genuinely. And I don't know if you went through the same, but sorry to jump in there, Mol.
Yeah, do you feel like you went through the same?
I did a 72-hour shift once.
Right.
I used to work and I put everything into my career. I think when he went, I went a bit crazy for a bit, cut all my hair off short, dyed it black, or nose pierced. I went a little bit mad. But then I was like, right, I won't be a victim and I'm going to live as if he's still proud. Live as if he's still here to make him proud. Yeah. So I was like, so I had like no A-levels, no degree. And I was like, I'm going to get on the board before I'm 30. And I just went all into my career to prove that you could get on there as a woman, I could get on there 30 and I could get on there without any qualifications. Amazing. So work actually protected me. It gave me a focus. It gave me a purpose. And I became really good at it. But it did get to a point in my life, I was like, this is now starting to cost me because, again, who am I without my work?
Right. And that's, identity.
And that's the bit, again, if you can separate. And I coach a lot of leaders now to go, if you lost your job, who are you? And it scares the life out of them. And you go, you've got to be careful with your identity. So I had to do a bit of work to actually separate. And it can creep back in, but, just to kind of let it go.
Defo. And you know what? That's a conversation I think is not had enough with athletes and sports people as well, because we went through that. Our identity when we were playing football, we were Mollie and Rosie, the footballers, since we were 10 years old. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we wake up and we transition into broadcasting, presenting and things like that, which was amazing. But we went through a solid 2 years of not really understanding who we were away from football and really trying to navigate these careers and not really knowing what rooms to go in, who we are anymore, what conversations we have. You lose that community, by the way, which isn't spoken about enough. We're used to waking up every day, being surrounded by 20 other girls in the changing room, training, eating together, etc.
Clear structure.
Routine.
Exactly. Routine. We wake up, we make the decision, which was the right decision for us to transition because we wanted to be conscious about our own careers, which was brilliant, and it's worked out well. But that 2 years was very, very, very difficult for me and Mol to navigate. We lost everything. You lose the community, the structure, and once again, I think that's another case study as to why it's a full circle moment for us with the organisation we're running now, because we know exactly how it looks and feels to be those young girls that were lost without that structure, without that community and without that pathway. And I think that's why, once again, it comes back, and it's only through talking you're like, okay, this really makes sense as to why we've got a full-fledged organisation doing this stuff now for other women. But that was a horrible time for us, definitely.
And it leads me to actually, because I do trust what questions come up now, so I've got really curious in kind of in terms of that 2-year identity, in terms of the identity of twins, Mollie and Rosie, the footballers, then you set up your football club, but then you're on your third business together. What have you started to learn about yourself as twins and actually your identity as individuals?
Wow. Honestly,
who wants to take that one?
That is the $1 million question.
Glad we're sitting apart.
I know. It's the $1 million question because no one speaks about how you merge, right? How as twins, you are a unit from day one, right? You are the twins. You know, to this day, if I'm by myself, I still say we, us. I speak as if there is someone else with me. And it's so interesting because I have to pull myself on that sometimes and be conscious that actually I am one person. And I would say, you know, we're 31 now, but you sort of get to a point where I'm going, now is the time to do that work of individuality, a little bit of separation to understand who is Rosie, who is Mollie, because I think for so long we have just been tarnished with the same brush. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. It's not a negative thing, but it's almost like the twins has become the brand, which, you know, is great. And I'm so grateful that we are so similar, that all of our interests are the same. You know, we've been able to build businesses because essentially we like to do the same things. But I look at it and I go, God, sometimes I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. Or even what you like. Because I remember you saying, do I like that just because you like that?
Right? Yeah.
Like there's
Am I scared of pigeons because she's scared of pigeons?
Yeah, we've both got the bird phobia, which is so interesting.
Bad,
like that is like a prime example of like, is that learnt behaviour? But no one speaks about when you work with a sibling, not just any sibling, a twin. If you do anything, you know, that means that pretty much you're the same person. No one speaks about that identity crisis that you actually go through. So you go through an identity crisis when you leave your sport that you've always done. And now I would say we're going through it again, of going, okay, we're 30 now, Rose. We're going into our 30s. Like, maybe it's time
We're
to...
actually 31.
Oh, we're 31, yeah. But, you know, we're in our 30s and it's like that time in your life where you start to go, right, I need to figure this bit out now. Because it is hard. It's
100%.
hard sometimes. And I think we, being open, we have struggled with it.
Yeah, massively.
We have struggled with it.
Okay.
And then in that same conversation as well, no one talks about, like, I can guarantee, well, I can't guarantee, but I don't, because I don't know how it feels to not have a twin. But I feel very lonely when I'm by myself.
Okay.
Like, it's intense loneliness, and I don't know where that comes from, but I can only assume it comes from the fact that I've been used to having Mollie there my whole life. So then when I am sitting at mine by myself, I think, I don't know if this is a fact, but I feel it intensely.
Okay.
It's like I don't know what to do with myself. I actually at moments have made 2 cups of tea out when Mollie's not even there.
Yeah.
What waste.
Sorry for all the planet lovers out there. I've done that, and I think that's something that I really want to start working on now and getting used to, of like going through that lonely period. Like, it's okay to have those moments. I think that's where we grow, and it is uncomfortable for me, but I think I need to lean in a little bit more.
Just get curious about it.
Yeah.
Because within the business, I'm just jumping a little bit to the business here. Are you both doing the same roles? Have you divided out the roles yet, and roles and responsibilities? You're both giving me a really funny smile. That's just like a no smile.
Oh, it's difficult, that one, because there's similar skill set.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where it's difficult to separate out, because I actually think, you know, our weaknesses are very similar and our strengths are quite similar. So, you know, having someone having multiple people in the business who are organised, structured, and live by the calendars and the admin, well, we need that, and we have that.
Oh, so that's not
we
either
have
of you.
that. It's
Right.
not the strength. Not the strength. We are a bit creative and, I would say, creative in a nice way. But we drive them crazy, our team, because, you know, they know. You know, and there's Rosa in particular, who really is the glue of us, because essentially you have this person that works with you every day to make sure that you turn up on time and you make sure you're there. So Rosa is to thank that we're sitting on this sofa today, actually.
100%.
But essentially, when that isn't a skill set that you have, it's really difficult. So and that's where I think we've probably struggled to differentiate roles and responsibilities, because the skill sets are similar, but I still think that there is work to do.
You can definitely do it.
We need to do it.
Definitely do it.
Yeah.
So what I'm really, really interested in is your 2 previous businesses, like you've gone in with other people. What made you do that? Was that to fill what you thought were some of your weaknesses versus just doing it on your own and going for it?
I wish that was the case.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to answer this one, but pure lack of confidence.
Okay.
Pure lack of confidence. never in our wildest dreams or never when me and Mole were younger believed deep down that we were capable of running an organisation as two young women. Just it never occurred to us. So that lack of confidence and that lack of self-belief, actually on reflection, we made bad decisions off the back of that, purely because we felt like we needed that support. And it's only now we sit here and realise that was it stemmed from that lack of confidence and that lack of self-worth, because it came back down to us really feeling as if like, well, we don't deserve to run our own organisation and run our own schedules and, you know,
I think
live
there's
abundantly.
also like a bit of people pleasing in there.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of that of people coming to us and saying, I bring something, here's what I can bring. And almost being too scared, or again, probably not believing that we could, to saying, oh, actually, that sounds good. Yeah, okay. And trusting and being quite naive, if I'm completely honest. I think we have been very naive, too trusting in a lot of the business relationships that we have had, because we go in with pure intentions, but not everyone does. And I think that's been the harsh wake-up call that we're realising in business. Like, this is business now. And I think we're used to being in teams where everyone works together and this is the end goal.
Yeah.
And actually, we're having a harsh wake-up call to go, listen, there's an opportunity, but people see this as us as an opportunity. And we get that. That's fine. But let's remember that we don't need anyone else. If anyone else comes to the table from now, they better be there better be a very
high benchmark.
There is like a level and a criteria now that I don't think we've ever had, either the confidence but also the headspace. Right?
Yeah, headspace is a big thing.
We have always had lots going on, and I think operated from a place of fear in our decision making, but also a space from a place of time. Like it always feels like we've been almost running our businesses on erratic decisions because the headspace hasn't been there, because we're always trying to make something work. And I think what we've done in the last year in particular is we strip back.
Nice.
We've gone, we don't have to do everything. We don't have to go to everything. And I think we spent the first 10 years of our career, especially in the media world, of saying yes to everything. And I think you should. I think there is definitely a time in the beginning of your careers.
Yeah, you got to.
Yes to that. Do that for free. Go and learn about that. Like, yes. Be curious, 100%. But you also need to get to a point where you're strategic. And I think that's the transition we're going through now of going, we've built the brand, we've got the platform. Now, how are we going to use it in the right way from a strategic point of view, instead of just being busy for the sake of being busy because we feel guilty when we're not working? That is essentially how I think we've been operating.
That is so insightful.
Previously. Yeah.
So number one, just even hearing you talk is so, I can see the empowerment shift in you and how you're talking about it. But I wouldn't mind you talking a little bit about the guilt, because I was literally just coaching someone yesterday on this guilt, as if they suddenly have an hour or two where they've got nothing to do, the guilt. Where do you think that guilt comes from for you?
I think the guilt comes from, as Molly said earlier, the fear of losing it all.
Right, okay.
Like, I genuinely still, and I have to really work on myself and train myself out of this, but I still wake up and think one day I'm going to wake up and it's all going to be gone. Okay. And I think the guilt kicks in where I'm sitting there and I have got an hour or two. And when I'm not working, I'm thinking, if I don't work in these 1 or 2 hours, someone else is going to be working harder, or I'm going to lose that. So we just got to keep going. And then all of a sudden, I'm burnt out. I'm not articulating myself properly. I can't socialise. I need a minute. And that's come down to the fact of I've worked myself to the ground because that guilt keeps kicking in. And once again, I think it's leaning into now, the stage that we're at is like that uncomfortable feeling, the uncomfortable feeling of being alone, the uncomfortable feeling of sitting still and just being, we have not sat still for 16 years.
Knackered. Absolutely knackered.
No,
Need an holiday.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's a joke. We have, you know.
It's just been go, go, go.
But it has, And do you know what? Why? You know what I mean? And I know there were reasons in the past where we felt like that, and as Molly said, there are times in your life where you 100% have to. I believe that. I believe we wouldn't be sitting here right now without those moments.
Gotta work hard.
We are grafters.
Yep.
That if it's one thing, me and Moa, we are grafters, and we will work hard to make anything work and happen. And you have to have that ultimately. But at the same time, there comes a point where you're like, right, okay, I've actually not got the energy I once had. I actually feel that, actually.
Yeah, welcome to your 40s. It does get harder.
It becomes frustrating though.
Yeah, because you can't do as much. It's
but more because you're sitting there going, I've worked my ass off to go and have that holiday.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm on holiday,
Tick.
I'm uptight. I'm not present. I'm there, and I've been on so many holidays where I sit there and I'm so annoyed at myself because I get back and I go, why have I done that?
Yeah.
And I think you get to a point where you have to make some serious change so that you don't spend your life looking back at these amazing moments that you could only dream of growing up. And again, it's that grounding exercise sometimes that you've got to do of going, wow, at one point you probably thought you'd never leave Enfield. Now you're on a
Look where you are.
now you're on a plane. Like that. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I promise you
that was out of touch for us at one point.
I remember, going on a first holiday. We didn't have holidays growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't go on holiday. That wasn't a thing. So I remember like I have friends and that, they'd be like, oh, 6-week holiday, I'd go away and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, cool. And
we're down play scheme.
Yeah, we're down, definitely down the park or something. But, fine, that's what we knew. That's all we knew. So silly things like now being able to go on holiday or take a holiday and still not enjoying it, you want to shake yourself, go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And that's the frustrating bit.
And I think so many people listening to this will be able to relate because I don't know why. And I don't know if it's society, if it's always been like this or if it's just more now because we've got social media, everyone can see what you're doing and this need to kind of, you want to feel enough, you want to feel like you belong, you want to feel like you're worthy, you want to feel like you're achieving something because we put such a high thing on achievement. Like, what are you doing? How well you've done and the comparison. And I get it as well. It's like my husband and I were just having a conversation this morning. He's like, you do know you don't need to work this hard anymore. But something's, again, your identity. I was nicknamed a grafter. I started work for my dad when I was 12. So I was always Joe's the grafter.
Love that.
So my brother was the smart one. I was the grafter. So that's how we were differentiated. And it suddenly, as you say, it's so much of your identity. And I think my energy, it came from, I needed something to prove, trying to prove I could do it. It's so, and so you become a human doer. It is suddenly strange to go, I can be a human being and I can say no to that. And it's okay, and money will be okay. And by saying to my husband, I get the logic. He will go, look, you've got a pension, you've got this. And I'm like, I get the logic, but emotionally, it hasn't quite caught up yet. So I don't know, because like, if you see your life, you see what you're sitting on now, the business is fantastic. The people that are wanting to support you. So the logic's there. You can see how well you're doing. Yeah. But isn't it mad, the emotions and everything that drives us to kind of go, got to keep going, got to go.
Yeah, it is. And it gets to a point where it's actually sad.
Yeah.
Because, we spoke earlier, all of us, about knowing life's short.
Yeah.
So then it's that balance between I'm going to do something amazing with the short time that we're here. Or long time, touch wood.
Yeah.
But also enjoying it. And I think that's the thing that I really, and we're not sitting here as finished products, by the way, and I think sometimes you sort of sit on podcasts and stuff and you almost think that the people you're watching have got it all figured out. We have not. We are far from it.
I don't think anyone has.
No one has.
No.
And that's the thing.
And just remembering that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Going, oh, right, okay. Yeah. And I think getting away from this urgency thing, I struggle with that a lot. Everything feels urgent to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, stop operating like that, because then you become just almost a bit of a control freak. It doesn't matter if you've got people working for you, you're still trying to be across it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is the bit for me, that is like the next step of going, be comfortable with the piece, stop like this urgency, this feeling in your nervous system of constantly being heightened. Like, let's work on that, because that is not something I want to keep living with. So yeah, I can imagine a lot of people go through that, and it's hard.
Defo. What I've tried to help I'm trying to think of the listeners and like how we could, because we're definitely not finished products, but I think one thing we've both tried to implement is, because we feel like we do need to be achieving something, what I've tried to do is flip it on its head a little bit and think, right, okay, I need that sense of achievement. Yes, I do. but I've tried to remove just my work life from that sense of achievement.
Nice.
So what I've tried to do now is say, right, okay, yes, I need to achieve something every day, but that might be achieving something socially. So rebuilding a friendship or a connection that I've lost touch with,
Nice.
but they mean a lot to me. So I want to rebuild that. It might be me physically doing something hard, which I have to do every day, to be honest, to keep my head sane. I do need to do that every morning. And Molly knows when I have not done that in the
I
morning.
can tell when she's not been to the gym. I tell you that.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Different person.
That's your thing.
Yeah. And I'm working on that, but it's very hard for me. If I've not trained or done something physical in the morning, I'm very, very foggy, very, very messy. Okay. So that's something that achievement of every day I have to tick off quite well. But that's what I've done. So the night before, I will write a list of intentions or things that I'm trying to achieve the next day. And that used to be, before we were starting to have these conversations and therapists and all of that stuff, used to be just a list full of work stuff. Yeah. But now I'm trying to find more and more of a balance of like, right, okay, that can be things that I need to do for myself. Yeah. The life admin that I've been putting off, by the way. Why do we put off life admin? Like,
I hate life
as
admin.
Important. I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm really bad at it.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
really
Work
bad at
admin,
it.
fine. Terrible at life admin.
Awful. Yeah. So like little life admin bits that have been, by the way, niggling in my head and I need to get done, but I just don't do it. All of those little things where a little brain dump before bed really helps my mind. Yeah. So little brain dump, and then just trying to nurture other areas of my life, because like we said earlier, like the grafters in us want to be achieving and succeeding in work, but actually there's so many other pillars and elements to our life, like family, relationships.
Neglect a lot.
We neglect so many pillars, and it's like, no, like I want to be I want to be whole now, and I want to be well-rounded. And I think for the first time in our lives, we felt like we want to feel that way now, and a little bit more fulfilled.
I think that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To feel fulfilled in what you're doing. And as you said, fulfillment doesn't just have to come from work.
No.
It can come from so many places. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, to please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a small action that makes a big difference. You'll be the first to know when new episodes drop, and your support helps us create meaningful content for leaders like you. I'd also love to hear from you, so if you have any thoughts, questions or ideas, pop them into the comments. And if you're curious about how my leadership coaching or training could support you or your team, just drop me a DM and we'll set up a call. Thanks so much. Now let's get back to the episode. I do want to go on to the Powerhouse Project.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Go. Yes. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So the Powerhouse Project is essentially an organisation that has been built to create better infrastructure and pathways for young women. Nice. Right. So we're starting in sport, and we have started honing in football, because essentially that's where we started. Yeah. So we're 5 years old, which feels crazy that
we've, time,
I'm so grateful. We're 5. Yeah, we're still a little baby, but to get it to 5 years is a really big achievement for us. And the last 5 years has been amazing to see where it started, and the journey really did start in female coaching. So as players, we only had one female coach in our whole careers. And then when we started to really understand the underrepresentation from a female coaching perspective compared to male coaches in the game of football, it was like, whoa, that is, first of all, shocking, but also very sad, because what we're seeing now is almost a blocker for young girls to see themselves in those positions. So the women's game's growing. We need to make sure that the infrastructure and pathways also grow alongside, this movement that we're all living a part of now, which is brilliant to see. Yeah. But not everyone, and we always say this, not everyone's going to be a lioness. And what those girls have been able to do for women's football in this country is beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. But we have to make sure that all of the roles and areas around that also have its own pathway that exists. So for us, it really started there in female coaching. And then you realise, wow, this is a global issue. So we've all started in the UK, and now we've got hubs working in Ghana, Egypt, Barcelona. Wow. Because this is a global issue for female representation from a coaching point of view. So for us, our work and our mission is to make sure that we can scale as far and wide so that the infrastructures that have nothing actually can see an opportunity for themselves. So coaching's like, great, let's keep doing that. That is our baby. We're going to keep growing that side of the organisation. Yeah. And then it was like looking at other areas and industries and going, where else is the male domination really impacted, you know, this generation in terms of their own role models? And I think role models is key to everything that we do. The Powerhouse Project is about creating more role models. Lovely. So how can we create more role models in spaces where they're not normally seen? Coaching, we're doing the work, great. Behind these cameras now, you know, for us, media industries, broadcasting, content creation, journalism, can we do some impact there as well? So we've run some amazing programs with the likes of Google previously, but essentially building similar pathways for young girls to get into the media industry as well. And then next for us is business, which is really important to now start having these conversations with amazing women like yourself to go, wow, educate us, tell us. Like, there's also lots of, you know, underrepresentation in the corporate world and the business space, and those feelings, transferable feelings of feeling alone, feeling isolated, always a minority group, not listened to, undervalued. Like, these are global issues for women, not just in the sports industry, but, you know, just across the board. So we really want the Powerhouse Project to continue to grow in building tangible pathways, but also programs that create development and education. Because opportunities are great, but you've got to be ready for that opportunity. So that's where the education comes in. I could speak about this all day, but you need to
so it's
have
just
a
a small little vision.
Small little vision,
to change the world.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, how can we create more role models in spaces where typically women have not belonged? But then how can we work with some of the biggest brands in the world to create and execute programs that educate and develop those young women to get into those spaces? So when the opportunity comes up, I'm so confident because I've done my program. I believe in myself because I've got the support network, and now I've got a community of like-minded women around me. So I'm no longer the minority. That's the bit for us.
That's the thing. Yeah. And there's such a truth in that, because I saw so many opportunities did open up for people, but that, as you said, they'd had no training. Just like, oh, we need, and it sounds really bad, but it's a tick box. We need to increase our D&I. Okay, we'll just hire. But no one, really. they didn't stay because the infrastructure wasn't there. They didn't know how to. So in terms of this education piece, it's massive. Yeah. I would like to know from your experiences, because obviously in the corporate space, for me, I found myself many times being the only woman in the room, especially when getting to the board level, you're only woman. For you in this space of what you're trying to build, and you're creating something in that's still quite a male-dominated environment, and you said something really key there, just like to be listened to. What's been your kind of personal experience of trying to get listened to?
God, how long we got? I think, look, there's a few case studies of our own personal experience, and you know, ultimately, me and Mollie have been in many, many rooms, especially in the business side of our lives, where it's like we feel as if we're banging our heads against a brick wall. You know, there's been conversations come up around what we should do for women within the infrastructures in which we're working with. We're the only women in the room who can speak from personal experience. Okay. And it's like you're still trying to sell that to people. And we ultimately got sick of feeling like we had to keep trying to sell people in to why it was so important to cater to women. Like, we shouldn't have to sell that in. Yeah. You should ultimately understand the reason why we're trying to build what we're trying to build. And I think we kind of just got to the point in our own lives where we felt so suppressed, and it got to the point in rooms where we stopped talking because we just like, we're not being listened to, we're not being seen, we're not heard. So ultimately, I'm going to save my energy here and just not say anything. And actually, that's not a good way to live, because in turn, we also felt like we were suppressing our vision and our, you know, ways of living and what we wanted to do in the world. So I think there were so many times where in the boardrooms that we felt that in our own experiences. And then from a real tangible experience, what I will say is our media careers, right? I'll give this as an example. Me and Mol, when we turned presenters, so footballers into presenters, we were chucked onto live TV. The red light was on.
Wow.
And you make mistakes, right? Yeah. Of course. There were many times me and Mol in our early careers, not anymore,
We still make mistakes.
We still make mistakes. But like on live TV, you know,
Yeah.
you understand the skill set now, and you can go about it and do a very good job. But back in the day, you know, 5-6 years ago, when me and Mol were first doing live TV or TV in general, there was a lot of mistakes that we made on the job. Now, the reasoning behind the programs itself with Powerhouse is you have to create an environment for young girls and women to be able to make mistakes and then not be this huge pressure and judgment.
Misogyny.
Or backlash, right? Like, allow people to grow and make mistakes. We weren't given that opportunity.
Okay.
And I think it done us the world of good because we just had to adapt and grow quickly. But ultimately, if I didn't have Mollie, or if Mollie didn't have me in those moments where we did make the mistake to say, I know you're upset now. I know we're kicking ourselves now, but we've got to go again next week.
Okay.
We've got to go again next week. We've got to pick ourselves up again and go. If you don't have that in your ear and you don't have that support system, you don't have that network having those conversations with you, you don't ever go back on live TV.
Well, you just drop out. And the point is retention.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, for all of these women, when confidence is not, the answer is not to run away. And I think the point is, can you build programs that mean that over this period of time, you're going to go from thinking I want to be in that industry to knowing you can be, but then also having the skill set to go and thrive once you're in it.
So equipping yourself to be able to coping strategies.
That's it.
Exactly.
Self-esteem's high and things like that. So will the Powerhouse, you've got the programs and stuff, is it a community as well that you could feel like you can belong in? So if that, say, happens to someone, they can be like, oh my God,
Exactly
need my
that.
friends.
Exactly. We see it all the time now. It's a beautiful thing 5 years on, because now you have, you know, female coaches that have been on, you know, cohort 1 and then cohort 4, and they all meet up on the qualification that they're about to do together, and they're no longer the only woman in the room because there's multiple people from the Powerhouse Project that has also managed to get on the same qualification. And it's moments like that where you go, this is working. This is working. And then, you know, having the community where you can constantly see that dialogue of, is anyone else going to this thing tonight? Yep, I'm going to that thing.
So
I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
So seeing the community grow, I think, has been the most special part of the organisation, because it was way more powerful than what it ever intended to be. It was supposed to be, let's create some programs that are centred around education so that confidence is built through those educational programs. But actually the community has been the bit that has surprised me the most, of going, whoa, hang on. There's a huge community in the UK. Now there's a global community. So these programs and all of these women that we're now allowing to, you know, creating better opportunities for them to go and thrive in their own careers. You look back and I go, wow, imagine in 10 years, you know.
That's what exciting.
That's exciting.
Exciting.
That's exciting.
Very
And
much.
sitting on the sofa today, so if I say to you, wow, you two are leaders of an incredible organisation, how does that feel to hear that? Your face was funny. You're like, oh.
No, I believe that. Yeah, now
That's
I feel
really good.
I feel like
You can see it. You can own that identity. Like, we are leaders.
Yeah, because I also feel like we deserve to be in these positions, and I know we're right. We're the right people to do this, because we know how it feels, and we also know that we're gonna always put those girls first, and we're always like, that is the intention. We know the intention's pure, and again, you know, the reason why we will remain as a 2 on this, and it will be a very high criteria if anyone else wants to get involved now, because I now believe, after all these years, that we can do this. We can do this. And I'm not just saying that, I genuinely believe that now, and it's taken a long time.
How does that feel inside, just saying that? Because that is just beautiful to hear you say that.
Beautiful. It feels mad saying that for the first time on your pod, but I think essentially, like, it is nice to just say that and like own it a little bit.
And
like,
be okay that you can.
like, this feels right. This feels right. And it's still a process. We're still growing, learning, you know.
You'll have setbacks. It's normal.
But that's all right. That's all right. And I think when you get to a point where you think, no matter what, this is going to be fine. And no matter what, even if it all ended tomorrow, look what we've done in the last 5 years. That's the bit you get to when you go, still made impacts, still helped hundreds.
Made a difference.
Hundreds, thousands, still have done that. So once you've done it, no one can take it away from you. And I think that's a comforting feeling as well. Definitely.
Going back to something you said, it's like, once you've done it, no one to take it away from you. Have you got some security in knowing what you have done? Because I know there's that fear of it could all go, but does that last 5 years give you that sort of wow? Or is there still kind of that nerves of it could go tomorrow?
I think, like, you know, as we've said constantly, we're really not the finished product. I think I'm those emotions and those conversations and that narrative's still going to creep in every now and then. I think that just takes a lot of work, doesn't it, to get those demons like battered away. But I would like to think when I'm in a like positive headspace and I'm, you know, I'm having more positive conversations internally, then yeah, of course, like no one can take away the fact that
What you've done.
we go to football games now and we see our coaches on the sidelines working. Like, no one can take that away.
It's amazing.
No one can take away from the fact that, you know, when we were doing the grassroots club back when we were 19, some of them girls are still playing football to this day. No one can take that away from us. And I think it's, you know, those little moments where you have to remind yourself, actually, forget the material stuff and forget finance and everything like that. From a pure impact perspective, we have done so bloody much in this world already. And I'm really excited about how much we can continue to help women feel like they bloody deserve it. And there's no bigger mission than that, is there?
It's lovely.
There's no greater feeling.
And it's so lovely when you turn around and say, you deserve what you're doing. And if you think of like the younger versions of you, imagine if they were here, like just looking at you now, going, "Wow,
bloody hell, yeah."
You know,
yeah,
that'd be amazing. Hopefully, she have a top on.
Oh, you got your top on.
Yeah.
Hopefully she has.
But that gave me good. God knows how you feel, because I've got goosebumps even saying that, because I know.
Thank you.
I think
we both got teary at that. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is amazing. You think of your younger version, just going, "Wow, thank you for what you've both done," and it does feel like it's still so the beginning of what is just so possible for you both. It's very, very exciting. And what's so special, and I'm so pleased our paths have crossed, what's so special talking with you is your openness. And it's so inspiring listening to people that go, look, we're doing well, we're making impact, we're growing a business, but hey, look, this is all here as well. We have the people pleasing, we have the thing. I know on the call we spoke about, you know, avoiding conflict because of what you went through and the challenge that's given you. But it seems like there's this constant thing, okay, we've recognised this. Okay, let's go and get some therapy, let's talk, let's connect, let's ask for help. How do we then keep moving through? So I think it's such a lovely thing in life, is I always go, it's not the resources we have, it's how resourceful we are. And what I see in front of me is two incredibly resourceful women who's making a big impact on the world. I just want to thank you for that. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Big question for you. You can pick who wants to go first. But I would love to know, what would your future self, you can go as far as into the future, a year, 5 years, 20 years, wherever you want. What advice would your future self give you today?
The advice would be to genuinely know that you deserve this. Genuinely. Like, you've worked your ass off, girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've done it, all right? And no one can take away your work ethic, your intention. And for me, it would just be to say, like, you deserve this and enjoy it. Enjoy your life, because you created something beautiful and it didn't start off easy. It'll be that.
Really
definitely.
beautiful. Thank you. What advice would your future self give you?
Stop worrying.
Nice.
Stop worrying. Like, I think that is my default. And I know I'm going to continue to work on that. And I hope one day I can sit back here with you and we can meet for a coffee and I can say, oh, Joe, do you know, I don't wake up and worry anymore. So I think for me, if I could speak to, you know, my older self could speak to me now, I think she'd be saying, Rose, it's all going to work out. Stop it. And just enjoy it, because you should be proud of yourself and what you've done instead of constantly worrying and living in fear. Like, let's get rid of that now and like Molly said, enjoy what you've built.
It's really nice.
And live more abundantly, you know. So
so that's your next thing to work through.
Exactly. That's the mission.
I would say, just to see you right now, I think it's just to normalise that for you. I think with what you've both experienced, I did a profile personal myself. I came out as a 90% worrier. I was like,
oh wow.
And it was quite interesting when I look back. I'm like, well, where has that come from? And I think sometimes when we experience loss, quite traumatically as well, that natural worry of like my imagination's crazy. I see stuff like I'll just be in the car and I'll see like accidents happening in front of me. It's not, it's just my imagination. That's like the worry. But what's quite interesting, I'm doing lots of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work at the moment.
Oh, okay.
And is that thing
Love him.
like, do you know him?
Oh, I love him, yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So I'm doing a lot of that thing when you wake up in the morning and I don't go, oh my God, the day, oh my God, I'm tired. I'm like, no, today's going to be amazing. Like today I was already like, this episode's going to rock, because I'd already told my head that it was going to be amazing. But that whole thing of consciously managing your thoughts, coming off autopilot. I think you shared some tips earlier. This would be the tip I'd share at the moment, is I think we're living too much on autopilot, which is creating a lot of this worry. And the more we can go conscious and manage our thoughts, and the more you go, actually, no, I do deserve this. We can slow down. We can take a day off. We're going to be okay. I think it's something I think we could all do with a bit more. Definitely.
100%.
Any message to corporates you want to give out for young women?
Honestly, if you're a corporate person or working at a corporate organisation or whatever, just that industry, if you're interested in making serious impact in the world of women's sport and you genuinely want to create something that means that you are changing young girls' lives, then get in touch with us at the Powerhouse Project, because we're really in a position now where we are consciously seeking some amazing partners.
Brilliant.
So I'm sure there are lots of amazing people that actually want to do something with us. And so, yeah, we're open to that. So come and
get in
find
touch.
us.
They want to get involved. They want to help, or maybe get you in to speak and share your story, just to inspire young girls of what's important. Well, young girls, all women.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of women my age sitting on boards at the moment. Could do with listening to what you've got to say as well.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So,
and I think actually that's been the shift from a presenting and hosting perspective. Like me and Molly really feel like we're in a position now to talk on the work we've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be amazing to speak more to corporates and have that convo.
Get you on stage.
Definitely.
I think your story is so powerful, and I know we've only been able to touch a segment of it, so we'll get you back to do more, because I'm really, really keen to follow your journey and see what you achieve, because I know it's going to be fantastic, while you also take rest and look after yourself as well. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's listening or watching. I know there's going to be so many notes taken from this episode, and if you've got any questions or comments, please put them in, or if you want to reach out to Molly and Rosie, they'd be happy to hear from you. Take care. If you've been enjoying the Courageous Leaders podcast, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us keep creating quality content and reaching more leaders like you who are ready to grow and make a real impact. We fund this podcast ourselves, so every subscription truly makes a difference and allows us to support courageous leaders like you. Thank you for being part of the journey.